Today is November 5, 2025, and I'm broadcasting from Honolulu, Hawaii. The moment is always the same. As the wheels of my Delta jetliner touch ground at Honolulu International Airport, my heart stops a moment. Flying into Honolulu is a sacred act for me, a spiritual experience returning to the land of my birth and personal culture. This physical connection to the aina, the land, is what reminds me, even as I pass the tourist resorts and military bases, the shadows of empire and the tragic story of the Kingdom of Hawaii. It is a story that echoes the betrayal of Chief Seattle, whose story I featured yesterday, where a proud sovereign people were dismissed as uncivilized and unfit to govern themselves. The Kingdom of Hawaii in the 19th century was no fledgling tribal council. It was a recognized nation with its own constitution, postal service, currency, and treaties with major world powers. For decades, the Hawaiian monarchs like King Kalakaua had worked to modernize the islands while navigating the treacherous waters of global politics. They balanced tradition with progress, committed to preserving their sovereignty. But in the middle of the Pacific, this small kingdom represented an irresistible prize. For American sugar planters and ambitious businessmen, Hawaii was not a home or a sovereign state. It was merely a strategic military refueling stop, and more importantly, a sugar plantation. These foreign interests, driven by economic greed and pervasive sense of white supremacy, grew impatient with the slow diplomatic pace of the monarchy. They dismissed the native government, convinced in their colonial fervor that an uncivilized brown people could not truly govern themselves. The turning point was 1887. The target, King David Kalakaua, often called the Merry Monarch for his love of the arts and culture. A faction of armed anti-monarchist businessmen known as the Hawaiian League and the Honolulu Rifles, they were Americans, surrounded the palace and the king's grounds, issuing their demands under duress. The result of this armed intimidation was a document that now is infamously known as the Bayonet Constitution. Now imagine the trauma. The king of a sovereign nation, revered by his people, he really was, forced at gunpoint to sign away his authority. The Bayonet Constitution did more than just strip Kalakaua of his personal power. It dramatically reduced the rights of the native Hawaiian population through poverty and income qualifications for voting, effectively consolidating political power in the hands of the wealthy, foreign-descended businessmen who orchestrated the coup. In other words, Hawaiians couldn't vote anymore in their own land. It was a betrayal built on an illusion of shared governance, much like Chief Seattle's treaty. King Kalakaua believed he was signing a compromise to prevent bloodshed. He was actually signing the death warrant for his kingdom's independent future. This act of violence and deceit laid the foundation for the eventual overthrow of his sister, Queen Liliuokalani, just 6 years later. The tragedy of the Bayonet Constitution is a chilling illustration of how empire operates, not always through massive armies, but through economic pressure, calculated deception, and the chilling threat of force against a vulnerable people. Does that sound familiar today? It is the moment the Hawaiian kingdom stopped being a nation and became a piece of property. Today, as I feel the sacred vibration of the land beneath the jet's tires, I am reminded that this history is not past. The struggle for self-determination and recognition continues. The story of King Kalakaua, who was forced to choose between the immediate lives of his people and the slow, agonizing surrender of his crown, serves as a powerful statement to the enduring, depressing shadow of colonialism, a pattern that in various forms is tragically alive today. Just turn on the news. If you're looking for more information about this tragic history, I recommend an episode of the PBS documentary series American Experience entitled Hawaii's Last Queen.